The story begins not in a gleaming lab or a bustling boardroom, but on the quiet, sun-drenched streets of Pretoria, South Africa. Here, a young boy, often lost in his own world, found his closest companions not on the playground, but between the covers of books. He wasn't just a reader. He was a devourer of information, consuming encyclopedias whole, page by page, driven by a relentless, almost insatiable curiosity about how the world worked. This wasn't idle reading. It was a form of deep, systematic inquiry. He wasn't just learning facts. He was downloading the source code of reality, from the mechanics of internal combustion engines to the grand, sweeping narratives of science fiction that painted pictures of humanity's future among the stars. While other kids were outside, he was building mental models of the universe, his imagination fueled by tales of galactic empires and technological marvels. This deep well of knowledge, gathered in solitude, would become the bedrock for everything that followed. It was in these quiet moments that the seeds of a different way of thinking were sown, a perspective that didn't accept the world as it was, but constantly questioned why it couldn't be something more. This thirst for knowledge soon demanded a more interactive medium. At the age of 10, he was introduced to a Commodore VIC-20, a primitive home computer with a user manual that promised to teach the basic programming language in 6 months. He finished it in 3 days. For him, code was a revelation, a magical language that could translate the abstract world of ideas into tangible, interactive reality. By 12, this newfound fluency led to his first creation, a video game called Blaster. It was a simple space shooter, but its creation was a profound lesson. He didn't just build it for fun, he saw it as a product. He meticulously polished it, submitted the source code to a computer magazine, and received a check for $500. This was the first spark, the initial electrifying proof of a core concept that would define his career. A good idea, executed well, could not only exist but could also generate the capital to fund the next, even bigger idea. It was a closed-loop system of innovation, a self-perpetuating engine of creation, and he had just turned the key for the first time. But the horizons of Pretoria, and even the nascent digital world, felt too small for the scale of his ambitions. He saw North America as the nexus of the future, the place where the most ambitious technological dreams were being pursued. At 17, with a Canadian passport secured through his mother, he made the leap, leaving his home behind to chase bigger challenges. The move was not a gentle transition. It was a period of grit and resourcefulness, working odd jobs across Canada, from cleaning out the boiler room of a lumber mill to farm work, surviving on $1 a day. This wasn't a detour. It was an education in resilience. He eventually made his way to the United States, enrolling at the University of Pennsylvania. There, he didn't just follow a single track. He pursued a dual degree in physics and economics, a combination that perfectly mirrored his dual interests, understanding the fundamental laws that govern the universe and understanding the systems that allocate resources to change it. He was building a toolkit, not just for a job, but for deconstructing and rebuilding entire industries from the ground up. The dot-com boom was calling. Deferring his PhD at Stanford after just 2 days, he and his brother Kimball dove headfirst into the digital gold rush with Zip2. It was an online city guide, a primitive Google Maps for the dial-up era. The early days were the epitome of a startup grind, coding all day, sleeping on a couch in their tiny office, showering at the local YMCA. They were fueled by sheer will and the belief that the internet was about to change everything. Zip2 taught him the brutal realities of running a business, the importance of relentless sales, the necessity of pivoting based on market feedback, and the art of survival. When Compaq acquired Zip2 for over $300 million, it was his first major exit. He could have retired. Instead, he took his winnings and rolled the dice again, co-founding X.com, an audacious attempt to reinvent the financial industry. After a contentious merger with a rival company, Confinity, the entity became PayPal. The internal battles were fierce, but the mission was clear: create a seamless global payment system. This period forged his leadership style, demanding, focused, and utterly fixated on the product. When eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion, his share was substantial. But for him, the money was never the end goal. It was ammunition. With the capital to do almost anything, he took a profound step back. Instead of asking, "What's the next lucrative internet business?" he asked a much bigger question. What are the most important problems affecting the future of humanity? His answers were sustainable energy and making life multi-planetary. The second goal led him to a startling realization. He tried to buy refurbished Russian ICBMs to send a greenhouse to Mars, but found the costs astronomical. This was the moment of revelation. The problem wasn't the rocket, it was the business model. Rockets were treated as disposable, like throwing away an airplane after a single flight. He asked a simple physics-based question. What is a rocket actually made of? Aluminum alloys, titanium, copper, carbon fiber. He calculated the raw material cost and found it was only about 2% of the total price. The other 98% was the cost of labor, process, and throwing the hardware away. This was the birth of SpaceX. The mission was not just to go to space, but to fundamentally break the cost equation by achieving the holy grail of rocketry: reusability. It was an idea so audacious that seasoned aerospace veterans laughed. But he wasn't building on their assumptions. He was building from the laws of physics. While SpaceX aimed for the stars, his other grand challenge was firmly on the ground. He had long believed that a transition to sustainable energy was critical. In 2004, he invested in a tiny electric car startup called Tesla Motors. The prevailing wisdom was that electric cars were glorified golf carts, slow, ugly, with limited range. Tesla's strategy was to attack this perception head-on, starting with a high-performance luxury sports car, the Roadster. The goal was to prove that electric vehicles could be desirable, that they could be better than their gasoline counterparts in every way. But the path was brutal. The company teetered on the brink of bankruptcy for years, facing what he would later call manufacturing hell. They had to solve not just battery technology and software, but the fiendishly complex problem of mass-producing a reliable, high-quality vehicle at scale. Tesla became a machine where engineering, software, and brand were fused into a single, cohesive unit. The car was no longer just a mechanical object. It was a sophisticated computer on wheels, constantly improving through over-the-air updates. By pushing electric into the mainstream, Tesla didn't just build a car company. It forced the entire automotive industry to accelerate its own electric future. His core pursuits of space and sustainable energy spawned an ecosystem of interconnected ventures. Frustrated by traffic, he envisioned a network of tunnels to alleviate urban congestion, founding the Boring Company to dramatically lower the cost of tunneling. To power the electric future, he drove the acquisition of Solar City, aiming to create a vertically integrated energy company that could generate, store, and consume clean power under one brand. And perhaps most ambitiously, he co-founded Neuralink, a company tackling one of the final frontiers of biology, the brain-computer interface. The goal is to create a high-bandwidth link between the human brain and artificial intelligence, a symbiotic relationship he believes may be essential for humanity's long-term relevance in an age of superintelligence. Each venture, while seemingly disparate, is connected by a common thread. They are all high-risk, high-reward bets on fundamental technologies that could reshape civilization. They are not incremental improvements. They are attempts to rewrite the operating system of modern life. Underpinning all of this is a set of core operating principles, an algorithm for achievement. The first is an almost inhuman work ethic. 80 to 100-hour work weeks are the norm, not the exception. Sleeping on the factory floor during production crises isn't a myth, it's a management tactic. This intensity sets the pace for the entire organization. The second principle is a voracious, continuous learning loop. He famously reads textbooks on rocket propulsion and talks directly to the most junior engineers on the factory floor, absorbing information from every possible source. This leads to the third and most crucial principle: thinking from first principles. Instead of reasoning by analogy, doing something because that's how it's always been done, he boils problems down to their most fundamental, undeniable truths. What are the raw materials? What do the laws of physics permit? From this clean foundation, he rebuilds a solution from the ground up, often in ways that seem impossible to those trapped by conventional wisdom. This is combined with a relentless, rapid iteration cycle. Build, test, fail, learn, and rebuild, faster than anyone else. The mantra is to ship, to make progress, to exist in a state of perpetual beta. This path is not without its sharp edges. The same relentless drive that produces breakthroughs can also create brutal work environments. The same unfiltered communication that cuts through corporate bureaucracy can manifest as erratic public statements and controversies that send shockwaves through the market. The risks are immense. SpaceX was one failed launch away from extinction. Tesla was weeks from bankruptcy. These are not safe bets. They are calculated, all-in wagers on a specific vision of the future, requiring an extraordinary tolerance for pain and public failure. While critics point to the chaos, the missed deadlines, and the polarizing persona, supporters point to the results. A private company that dominates orbital launch, an electric car company that transformed the auto industry, and a portfolio of moonshot bets that few others would dare to make. The trade-offs are stark, and the debate over his methods and impact will likely continue for decades. But the successes demonstrate a powerful truth. In industries defined by inertia, a willingness to tolerate immense risk and outsuffer the competition can be the ultimate competitive advantage. So what is the through line? What is the actionable lesson from this journey of radical ambition? It is a clear three-part directive. First, read deeply and widely. Build a vast mental library not just in your chosen field, but in physics, economics, history, and engineering. Understand the fundamental building blocks of the world. Second, think from first principles. Actively resist the magnetic pull of analogy and convention. Deconstruct every problem down to its core truths and build your solution from there. And third, execute with an intensity that others find unreasonable. Iterate, ship, and learn faster than the competition. Tolerate the pain of failure and maintain momentum when others stall. Agree or disagree with the man. The path he has forged offers a powerful blueprint. It's a call to action for anyone who wants to solve hard problems and build the future. Read deeply, think from first principles, and out-execute.